Oh, hello. Hi. Hey, this is John from the Maine, and you're listening to the Rock Sound Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Rock Sound Podcast. I'm your host Will Cross, Junior Editor at the magazine. The all-new Rock Sound Podcast. We were here last week with our very first episode, our first launch special, where we were speaking to bands like Sleeping with Sirens and Tonight Alive and Waterparks and With Confidence. We had the absolute best time and we hope you did too. As I say, keep telling us what you like, what you enjoy, and let us know. So today is part 2 of our launch special. And we are going to be speaking to the mighty Neck Deep, Pierce the Veil, State Champs, and Of Mice and Men. And joining me today and forever, Tamsin Wills. Hello.
Forever. I like that you said that. I'm like, you are never leaving. Hello. I'm Tamsin. This is fun, isn't it?
It's really fun.
I'm having a really nice time.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else is as well. Like we love doing this. So if you are enjoying it, please let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have a good time on the first episode?
I had a really nice time. Like some great bands. I loved hearing what Austin had to say because he's just wild. And With Confidence, Tonight Live, great. Like it's amazing to hear what those guys are up to right now. So yeah, so much to come.
So much to come. Jam of the year?
Well, I've been thinking about this, and I was going to go with a Broadside song because that album is just bangers from start to finish. But I feel like I'm going to go with the band who are on today's podcast. It is State Champs and their cover of Shawn Mendes' Stitches, because when Stitches first came out, 2 years ago now, something like that, I didn't stop listening to it. It was one of those pop songs that you literally just keep listening to, and I was like, this is such a jam. And I would do hand claps and everything, and then State Champs covered it, and I was like, this is everything I've ever needed in my life.
Mate, bangers. And of course, Mr. Jack Rogers. How's it going, my man?
I'm alright, Will Cross, how are you?
I'm very good. Did you have a good time last week?
Yeah, it was a laugh, wasn't it?
It was very good.
Bands, couple of brews here.
Bands and bangers.
Yeah. Yes, it's all the bees. I live my life by the bees.
That is going to be our slogan. Please, we have to make that our slogan. What's your jam of the year?
Mine was it's quite a nice surprise as well. It's Atlantic by Grayscale.
Oh, ching.
Which, when they signed to Fearless, I remember hearing the teaser and I was like, this is a bit bloody good. And then when it came in, I was just like, I listened to it 12 times in a row because it's just like, the chorus sticks you like tar. Like, it's just in your head constantly. And that album, Adornment, is fucking brilliant. But, like, because it's on so many different levels. But that song as a central point is just huge. And, like, sometimes I'll be going down the street and, like, when you got a good groove on, just find myself going, "Wada, wada." And, like, people look at you and it's like, yeah, well, you don't know how good the song is, man.
You don't care, just having a good time.
You don't even know.
You don't even understand. It's like, shout out Grayscale for being the biggest surprise this year and releasing a song.
Yeah, they're going to do big things.
Yeah, they are killer shout.
It's one of the songs where you just can't wait to crowd surf to it live when it comes around.
When they come to the UK.
I can be an absolute nuisance to everyone with my fists in the air.
Can't wait for that. My answer would be the very first band of this episode that we're going to speak to, actually. Neck Deep with In Bloom from their forthcoming album, The Peace and the Panic. You're going to be hearing that song very, very soon. And when I tell you that songs appear out of, not necessarily out of nowhere, but from a band that have had a lot of promise for a long time and come up with something really special, In Bloom is one of those songs. I mean, it's got this slight 90s feel to it. It kind of feels like it could have been off like a teen movie soundtrack, something like Clueless. But then it's just such a film. It's such a banger, and Ben's voice on it just sounds so assured and so honest. And honestly, when we first heard the album in the office, I thought I was going to cry. It's amazing.
Can confirm that when we were listening to the Neck Deep album for the first time, I wish I could have filmed Will's face from like start to finish, because it was just like constant, like there was some surprise going on, and then like another song came in, it was like, oh, listen to that, and it was the best thing. I think I just watched him rather than like listening to the songs and be like, yep, bangers, bangers, and then just watching Will's face like animate throughout the whole
Just
thing.
contour and change position.
And by the end of it, just seeing like a single tear run down his face.
It was very emotional. So perfect place to start. We bloody hell, but perfect place to start. So we spoke to Ben and Phil from Neck Deep. So far, you've heard Where Do We Go When We Go, Happy Judgment Day, and now Motion Sickness, all of which are really, really good bridging songs between Life's Not Out to Get You and The Peace and the Panic. So we thought that we'd speak to Ben and Phil and really, really get inside the album and things of talking about these curveballs and this emotion that's kind of wrapped up inside it and trying to get to the bottom of how they came up with that and the real kind of mature shift that Neck Deep have made with this album, but it also still very much sounding like them and the band that you love. So yeah, this was just one of my favourite chats I think I've ever done. So shout out Ben and Phil, shout out Neck Deep. Here we go. Cool. So yeah, Phil, Ben, thank you so much for coming in.
No worries.
Very exciting. I'm going to go straight in.
Oh.
Peace and the Panic.
Oh yes.
Best Neck Deep album
of all time. Ever.
Yeah.
The greatest Neck Deep album ever written.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, in our opinion, it's the best Neck Deep album we've written. You know, it's definitely a progression of the band, as generic as that sounds, and blah 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 blah. It really is. You know, that's what it comes down to. Is it is us progressing. It is us growing up a little bit, and it is us trying something a little different in parts where it's kind of where it's feasible. You know, you get that, you get something a little different from Neck Deep, but you still have all those classic Neck Deep sounding songs.
Yeah, it's got the balance. I think we got the balance just right. You know, there's nothing that's, you know, massively shocking, but then there's, you know, it's definitely got the songs, like you said, that are,
a little different.
Yeah, it's got the songs that are definitely a step forward and a bit different, but it's definitely got a lot of just what, you know,
a development of that Neck Deep sound.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, those first two singles were showing that, you know, just to show people we're still Neck Deep. We're not a jazz fusion band.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It's not gotten too experimental.
Yeah.
9-minute instrumental songs or anything like that.
No, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Fiddle.
Well, I've been lucky enough to hear the album, and I totally agree. Like, I personally think it's the best Neck Deep album for those reasons. Like, there's so much going on. It stays completely true to who you are as a band, but like it's a completely natural progression. But the curveballs that come up would just honestly not be on my arse. So we'll go into that.
Okay, good.
But we'll kick off with. So you've released, obviously, with Happy Judgment Day, but also Where Do We Go When We Go.
Yep.
That's also the closer of the album.
It is.
Is that kind of the overall kind of the overarching theme of the album?
There's quite a lot of themes, isn't there?
I think on a lyrical note, yeah, the overriding theme is generally the good and the bad come hand in hand. You have the peace and the panic, and it's about making that kind of duality work together. But the overriding sentiment of the album, the reason why it ends with that track, is because the final line is, I just want to get one up on life before it kills me. And basically, this kind of realization that, you know, death is one of the only guaranteed things that you have in life, and it's going to creep up on you one day, and you just need to make the most of your life before it does creep up on you. And, you know, despite all the bad and despite all the panic, you just have to make something of yourself. You just have to go out there and do it, and do whatever makes you happy and whatever is going to give you that satisfaction. You could have maybe said that we were naive, maybe to write Life's Not Out to Get You, but I still stand by Life's Not Out to Get You. I still think absolutely that, like, life is what you make it, and it's not out to get you, it is what you make it. But, you know, maybe we did come to a realization over the last 2 years that you can't escape the bad. Like, you know, you can be as positive as you want, but for you to have the good, you have to have the bad in balance with it. And it was kind of that realization that spurred on a lot of these songs for Peace and Panic. So.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I read somewhere, I think it was a quote from you, Ben, saying that Life's Not Out to Get You was like a period of uninterrupted happiness.
Yeah.
So, like, is this a reaction to that?
It is. I think it is a reaction to the interruption of the happiness. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, like we said, we all experienced things personally, and as a band that really did kind of change our perspective on things a little bit. Not that we've lost touch with, you know, that the Life's Not Out to Get You side of things, but we've just come to grow up and come to a few realizations, and you know, I think that shows in the music. It isn't so happy-go-lucky. It still has that feel of a Neck Deep song, but maybe the lyrical
positivity is still there for sure.
The positivity is still there, but it's maybe a little more subtle.
Well, I mean, to go into some songs like 1970 something, especially, like, was this a hard album to write lyrically?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, I stressed my absolute balls off writing this song. Like, there was a point where it got to, like, like I've used this anecdote a couple of times, and it was entirely true. And I remember thinking that at the time of it happening, like this is a prime example of the Peace and the Panic. Like I had written like there's two songs in particular that I was really struggling to write, and one of them was 1970 something, and one of them was The Grand Illusion. And I remember I was writing those songs, and I was just so fucking stressed. Like at that point, I'd written like 13 or 14 songs in a month, and I was just creatively just burnt out, and was just going through absolute anxiety, stress, just hating my life. And then had this moment where it was kind of just me in the apartment, and the sun was kind of coming down, and it was this really picturesque kind of view over LA, and I just had this moment of like utter clarity, and just like, no, it's all going to be fine. You don't need to write anymore. You're all good. I remember I started the very basic idea for 1970 something on the tour, on the Day to Remember tour that we did just before we went to record the album, and I was kind of having a bit of a tough one. Like I was having a bit of a moment, thinking about my family and stuff and what I went through, and I just started noodling on guitar and just started writing the lyrics for it, and just like very basic guitar progression for it. And yeah, that was really like, that was one of the last songs that we like wrote before going into the studio, and it turned out to be one of the most like dynamic songs on the record.
Yeah, no, you can completely. I mean, like when I heard that in particular, like especially when it kind of builds up at the end, I was just like, man, like I've never heard you guys do something like that before, and it was just like
it was like that for all of us. Like even being there, you know, recording it.
It's this great, you know, this storytelling song that really does tell a story, and I think you maybe kind of expect it as you're listening to the song if you know what the band is, you know what we've been through recently. But if you don't expect it at all, that twist halfway through that song, just I think everybody who's heard that song is like, I was in tears. Recording that song, like my girlfriend said to me, like, you sound like you're about to break down when you're singing it, and I was like, I fucking was like this close. Like, yeah, I actually was pretty fucking close to tears, like when I was recording that song. But now I've listened to it a million times, and I can see it for what it is, and I've kind of desensitized myself to it a little bit, because I'm like, I know we have to play this live, so I'm just gonna have to face up and listen to it and just accept it. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't shed a tear or two listening to it the first couple of times, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I guess as well, talking that sort of duality of the album, you've got a song like that, which is this kind of, as I say, this kind of was like an epic, this emotional epic, and then it's counterbalanced by these kind of, again, these kind of curveballs of like these sort of dreamy, really beautiful moments. I want to bring up In Bloom, which I think is
one of our favourites.
Yeah, man, that was when I was, because when we listened through, that was like, I was just like, it blew me away. Like I was just like, I'd heard rumblings of what the album's going to sound like, but like it was just like, how did that come about?
It's funny. Bloom is actually, I think, officially was the first song we had for the whole album. That goes way back. That was like a very early demo. I know Ben had kind of wrote it and had this acoustic, like again, acoustic guitar kind of had this melody, and then like we had like half a song track that sounded exactly how the song ended up sounding. And after the first chorus just ended, and we had that for like, I don't know, like half a year,
like
literally maybe a year, and it was always like, when it comes to doing the new album, that song we know is going to make it.
I think it's one of my favourite songs that Neck Deep have ever written. I think it's one of my favourites, truly. Like I listen to that song, and it makes you feel something. It conveys such an emotion.
You know what I mean? Like that's maybe even more the future. That's like, because you're always going to take that little step into the deep end on that, on a record, and then next time you take a step past where you went last time, and like that's the step that we took out.
We've left it open a lot of doors for ourselves to kind of go wherever we want, because because the album is so dynamic. You have songs like Don't Wait on there, which are like these heavy, drivey, kind of punky, angsty songs that have got screaming on them. To In Bloom and 1970 something. And we wanted an album that was super dynamic. We wanted an album that people could listen through the whole way and not be bored, or like halfway through like wonder if it's still the same song or not, you know? Like we didn't want that at all. We wanted people to be on a bit of a ride and take them up and down, and really leave ourselves with as many open doors as possible that we can go and explore after this. Like I feel like this album is like, not only is it the best Neck Deep album that we've written, but it just leaves the door open for us to do so much more in the future. Now we've kind of, Last Night to Get You, we did pop punk. Like, we went into that record saying we want to write a pop punk record, and we're going to absolutely kill it, and it's going to be through and through pop punk. Whereas this time we're okay, we've done that, and we still love it, and we're still all about it, so let's keep writing those songs, but let's show people what else we can do.
That's exciting, man. Like, I mean, that eclecticism, like you say, you can hear it all over the album. And I mean, going on that tangent, let's talk Don't Wait. So how did Sam Carter get involved?
I mean, the thing is, we kind of discussed the idea of having guest vocalists on the album, like you always do, but it's one of the things we kind of said. I mean, we had a meeting with some people from the label really early on. They were like, "Oh, do you want to have a guest vocalist?" It's like, well, it's too early. Like, we're not just going to say we'll have one for the sake of it. Like, if a part comes up that feels right and feels natural, we will, sure.
I think he kind of saw it the same way that we did. Like, we didn't want to just put another pop punk vocalist on there for the sake of there being a guest part that is just like, all right, well, I like no fucking weirdness, but like I could have just sung that and it could have just been the same part. You know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna have a guest part, it needs to be something that adds something to the song and makes the song unique. It makes the guest part unique, and by doing that, we need to maybe look outside of the pop punk genre. Some screamer vocals would sound awesome here. Who is the best vocalist you can think of? Sam Carter, and as well, British band, British metal band, British pop punk band. It's a cool crossover, and Sam said the same thing. He thought it was cool because it was something different. It's not like him just featuring on a metal track where he just screams and it's just like, oh, cool. Yeah. You know,
it wasn't just a part for the sake of a part.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like you could hear that it was like, yeah, I can hear that that'd be cool.
It adds something to it.
Yeah, it's not just like, well, we just left a 20-second gap, so do whatever. It was like, really naturally, it was like, yeah, that would be sick.
When it came back, we were just like, fuck. That is sick. That is just unreal, and it came out better than I think any of us ever expected. So, yeah, Sam, what a lad, and I think it helps that I'm a Man United fan. Anyway.
That's what sealed the deal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, no, because when his voice comes over yours and you're kind of intertwining, like man, like it sounds so seamless as well. Like you talk about that crossover, like
and it just makes sense. Yeah, exactly. It's not like they've got Sam Carter on a song, that's weird. Screaming on a pop punk song, it's like, well, I wouldn't call it a pop punk song. I wouldn't say that it was any. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put a label on it. It can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
Exactly.
I think it is. Yeah, I definitely think it's a great. I feel like Life's Not Out to Get You is one of them ones that you just bang it on and you just one time hear it, you're like, oh yeah, these are catchy. I like this. Is banging, But this one's definitely like the grower. Like it takes a second to really like take it in.
Yeah, I feel
when you do, I feel like you're connected.
People will be immediately drawn to like Judgment Day, In Bloom, Where Do We Go, maybe Grand Delusion and like Motion Sickness. I feel people will be immediately drawn to those. But those songs like Parachute and Heavy Lies and 1970 something and things like that, I feel like they're going to be ones that people go back to afterwards and go, actually, this song.
Yeah, I predict that people will kind of be like, yeah, those ones are cool, but I really like the other ones. And then, like, come a few months later, they'll all be going, actually, that's my favourite song on the album. I didn't realise.
Totally. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, listen, I've heard the album about 5 times now, and like, it's almost got that kind of Black Parade style thing where the more you listen, the more the kind of secrets come out. So I mean, I can't wait to listen to it more. I guess to finish up then, like with the UK tour coming up, obviously doing Brixton.
Yes.
Is there going to be a lot of this album being brought to people?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't obviously figured out exact set lists and stuff yet, and when the album's out, we'll get a better gauge of what people want to hear, because you always want to make sure people are getting the songs they want to hear. But yeah, we're really excited to like start bringing a lot of these songs into the live show. Like we are stoked on them. They feel like they really represent who we are now, and we're going to want to bring a lot of that into the live show.
So yeah, I mean, as we've already chatted about, like The Peace and the Panic is just an absolute work of art. You guys are gonna be so stoked when you hear this album. It's a real coming of age for Neck Deep. It really reminds me of when Bring Me the Horizon came out with There Is a Hell, and that they've been building up with all these bangers. Suicide Isn't a Bit Like Life's Not Out to Get You. All these like really kind of slightly straight up, but just absolutely brilliant songs. And then they've taken all those things and pushed them as far as they can possibly go and pulled everything off. Jack, into it?
Oh yeah, big style, mate. Like I'm an OG Neck Deep boy. I was there when they put first song on Bandcamp straight up to now, follow them, everything. And this, how they're talking now, is just the most confident and accomplished and mature they've ever been. And especially on this album, like when you hear it's come from a dark place, like the fucking worst place that's possible, from like the deaths of Ben and Phil's dads in the past year. But what they've done is they've taken those serious subject matters and just given it a subtle positivity, where they've taken these experiences and just made them their own and put them into these songs, which is so they fit into the timeline of Neck Deep, but it just develops it to a different level completely. And like when I've listened to a few, like each time that I've heard certain songs, it's just affected me that little bit more each time. And all good songwriting should make you feel something like that. And the fact that on Life's Not Out to Get You, they made so many, like, they made perfect pop punk in my eyes for what it needed to be, because they're already like the ringleaders. Like, they revived UK pop punk, they made it an establishment again, and everyone's copying them now, and they're already 2 steps ahead. So, like, it's just unbelievable what they're dealing with and what they're putting out there. And the fact that, like, in 2 years' time, bands are going to be doing what they're doing on this album, they'll be fucking out the door.
Mate,
they'll be onto something completely different.
That's it. They're absolute leaders in this world. I mean, something that we touched on as well, talking about Don't Wait with Sam Carter from Architects doing guest vocals. It really shows the power of both. We talked about Risk with Sleeping Sirens last week, and it really shows the power of risk and the power of collaboration in music. I mean, Tamsin, do you agree?
Totally. I mean, that Sam from Architects coming in on that song is just, it's one of the best things probably to happen in our scene. Like, it is going to blow everyone's minds.
Man.
It's
like boom.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah.
hits you in the chest, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like,
God,
it's insane. And I mean, they've been friends for ages, so it kind of made sense, but, like, it works. And it's two of the best UK bands we've got right now coming together, and it's just really nice to see.
Definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like Ben said, it's a cool crossover.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, fans of Architects, it might lead them to be like, okay, I'll go and check out this pop punk band. And the same for people who, you know, are probably on the poppier side of liking pop punk. They can be like, you know, Sam's got a wicked voice, let's go and listen to some Architects. And then they're
metalcore.
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah.
But then, like, it opens so many doors for, like, both bands. And I think that's really great. It's really great when you see bands like that coming together and just kind of doing their thing and just being like, yes, so this is, like, just drop. It's like a mic drop, that song. It really is. It's just like, that when they put it out, it's just going to be like, poof.
It really is.
Like, and everyone's just going to be like, ah!
I wanted to flip so many tables the first time I heard that song.
I wish you would have done that. That would have been amazing. But yeah, that's what the song is. Like, it's a table flipping anthem.
It is.
And I can't wait to see that live as well.
I mean, that's the thing. I think this is a really important album within our realm of music. I think a bit like I say, I touched on There Is a Hell by Bring Me the Horizon. I think, you know, we're talking about bands copying Neck Deep now, and that's what happened with Bring Me the Horizon at the time. This is a real important moment, I think. I mean, I think other bands, younger bands, are going to look at this album and see the power of risk paying off, and the power of experimentation, and being able to come up with these songs that you never maybe even thought possible when you first started your band, and that could open so many exciting doors across the scale. So all I can do is salute Neck Deep on this. I mean, I cannot wait till you all out there hear these songs. I mean, they are incredible. And as Tamsin touched on, seeing Don't Wait live, they're doing a huge UK tour later this year.
They are.
We're excited, yeah?
So excited. So much crowd surfing.
Brixton.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, if
That's the date. That's the statement that they needed to make.
Yeah.
Just like,
totally.
this is what we can do.
Yeah.
Like, because there's big shows on that, but, like, to sell out 5k people, to have them all singing along to Part of Me, like,
Man.
goosebumps,
Man.
like, goosebumps and tears.
Yeah, I mean, if they put together a perfect set list, which they'll do, it's gonna be mind blowing.
I was going to say goosebumps and tears. Sounds like my memoir.
Yeah.
The thing is, as well, with this Neck Deep album, like, it really shows them maturing as a band. I feel like they have been leaders of the UK pop punk scene for the past few years, but I feel like a lot of outsiders still kind of saw them as a bit of a gimmick. And it's been like, oh, they're just a pop punk band that's sing about pizza and hating their hometown.
Fuck Neck Deep, mate, they're shit.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
right? But I feel like this album, they're going to be taken a lot more seriously, like, not just from their fans, but from, you know, people in music. This album kind of just shows, like, their songwriting ability and them just growing up a bit and just being like, you know what, life is a bit shit. It is out to get you, but, like, you just got to make the most of it, and that's exactly what this album shows.
Absolutely, and I mean, Ben was very, very. I think he was very modest actually in that chat about talking about the work he's done lyrically on this album, and to come up with a song like 1970 something. I mean, I said earlier about bands necessarily coming up with songs now via this that they never thought they could originally when they formed. That is the ultimate example. I mean, 1970 something is this beautiful. It's like an emo epic,
Yeah.
and
It's big.
It's big. Like the first time I heard that song, I was just like, I just sat there and went, wow, like I never thought I would ever hear Neck Deep do a song like that, and here we are. So it's the door is wide open for that band, and I couldn't think of someone more or a band more deserving. Like it's going to be quite the big 6 months, I think.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
alright,
for
won't it?
sure.
It'll be a laugh.
Yeah, it will be a laugh. Cool. So moving on, Pierce the Veil. So big band in our world. Elder Statesman now. I mean, it's been 10 years since debut album Flair for the Dramatic.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Feel old. Yeah. So they had a very long process in making Misadventures, which came out this time last year. Vic really took his time living the songs and coming up with the lyrics to put to the music that was done much quicker. So to talk to him and his brother Mike about the real relief in everything being done finally and bringing it out to people, and the huge success that it's had in that fans have absolutely lapped it up and they're stronger than ever, was really invigorating to be able to speak to two people in a band about that, because it was clear that even 10 years on from their debut album, they're still so pumped about what they're doing. So we talk about that, and also what might be coming next for Pierce the Veil, like a few hints in there as well. So yeah, interesting chat. Let us know what you think. It was my chat with Vic and Mike from Pierce the Veil. Vic, Mike, like awesome to have you guys on. It's been a year of Misadventures, and like huge success that album's kind of brought. Like, how does it feel to kind of finally got everything out to people and fans?
It feels like the last day of school when you finish your test and you fucking burn your homework and you throw it all. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like we're on vacation, and it's been fucking awesome. Agreed.
Yeah, nice. I guess, was it a real relief? Because obviously there was a gap between the music being done and vocals being done. Like, was it a real relief to kind of get it out there?
It was a relief. It was like a gift, dude.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. It was just, like I said, it was nice to change our life from studio to the real world and actually see trees and nature and life and people. So it was nice.
Sick. I guess going to the album as well, like in terms of musically, it feels like you kind of took elements of the Pierce the Veil sound before and kind of rammed them up. So like you got songs like Floral and Fading. There's kind of like those sort of like 80s style synths and those kind of big guitar licks and things like that. Like was that something that you kind of was that quite natural, or was that something you kind of planned to do, or like how did that come about?
I remember when we were working on that song in general, Floral and Fading. It was we loved the direction it was heading, but we worked on that song for so long because we wanted it to be perfect, and that's the same thing with all our songs. We try so many different things, and a lot of times we just end up using the first idea, but it's nice to explore every single option you can.
Yeah, it's all like experimentation with us. We fuck around for months until we get like something that just sounds like no other band, and that's how we get our sound. Is like we just mess around until we feel like we got something unique and that we really like, and that's just how I always done it.
Awesome. I guess as well lyrically, like is it quite, some of the stuff you talk about on the album is quite, I mean it's pretty deep, and like was that hard to write?
Yeah, it was. I think that's what took the longest for me, because I took my time with every song. It was like a story, and it was like a real part of our lives, and I wanted each song to have an impact, and so didn't rush it, waited for each song, and kind of almost searched for them. I went to a lot of different countries, cities. Like we wrote all over the world this album, and that's kind of why we called it Misadventures, because it was like this thing we set out to do that just like went on a tailspin like all over the place. Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. Cause Andy did a cover feature for Roxanne with you guys, and I remember him writing in that Vic, you were told to go and live the stories of Misadventures. Like, is that, so I guess that's kind of like, I guess that's what you're touching on, and that like, is that something that kind of over that process, those were things that you guys were living, like?
Yeah, I mean, each song I could tell you, I could sit down, we could sit down with a little scotch and a cigar, and we could talk about it, and and I wanted it to be that way, because otherwise, what else, I don't know. I mean, I could sing about Mike's shoes. They're pink with
they are sick.
Leopard print, and I could probably write a whole song about those, but we wanted them to be a little deeper than that.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, like, going on, like, particular songs and, like, not to kind of grill you guys too much, but, like, I guess, like, a song like Phantom Power and Ludicrous Speed, like, bits of the album get really heavy, like at the end, like, especially when the kind of the effects come in and it's those, like, the drums and the guitar that just keeps going. Like, was that kind of, like, was that something that you kind of set out to do as well again, or was it kind of natural, and did it just kind of come that way?
I think we all like, so many different styles of music, and for the most part, we like hard, heavy rock and heavy stuff as well. So, you definitely hear those different elements here and there, and we kind of mash them all together, and it kind of makes our sound, I guess. So, yeah, we just, whatever albums we're listening to, we take, ideas from different stuff, and our fans as well. Like the shows in general, we like to write songs picturing how they're going to be performed live and on tour.
Awesome, yeah, because I actually saw you guys in November last year when you brought Let Live and Creeper out. Like, yeah, how was that?
That was one of my favorite tours we've ever done.
Yeah.
Not just because we love those bands, but them as people, the best dudes ever.
Yeah.
I'm, pretty bummed that Let Live, called it, but they got to do what they got to do. But yeah, we watched Creeper today, and it was so good to see those guys. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a really special tour. It was definitely a lot of brotherhood going on, and can't ever recreate that one.
We couldn't hang out enough. Like every day was just like hugs and let's fucking have a good time.
It's a lot of love,
a lot of love. Yeah.
Nice. And I guess, like, especially working in the industry, like, something I've really noticed recently has been picking up new bands and that sort of thing, is that so many bands sound like you guys now. And something I found with Misadventures is that it just sounded like you. Obviously, Mike, you're saying that you influenced so many bands and that sort of thing, but, like, all that together just sounds like Piss the Veil now. I guess, how does it feel that now you've kind of got that sound, like, that just a wave of bands are sounding like you guys?
Somebody mentioned that the other day, like, people are starting to, like, have a Pierce the Veil style.
I don't know what that means, even, because we're such a weird band that I don't even know, like, what that would even mean.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cool thing if we're inspiring other bands, newer bands, to write cool stuff. So.
Definitely, and I guess as well, in terms of, I was chatting to Jaime and Tony earlier, and they were saying that you're having a bit of a break, and then you've got the Rise Against tour, and they were saying that you guys are kind of taking stuff away, and you're going to kind of write on your own and kind of see what happens. Is that kind of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I think we want to focus on writing, but still touring off Misadventures, and I think there's still a lot of touring to be done off that record.
Definitely,
yeah. Music industry is just flying right now, and people are just like putting songs out left and right, and it's so we want to keep the ball rolling and just keep writing, and like I said, just keep it going,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, a bit like we were talking about on Misadventures as well, that, you kind of took elements of the PTV sound and kind of rammed them up. Like, is that something that we might even hear more of? Is there going to be potentially more kind of experiments?
Honestly, I don't know, man. It's all gonna come out when I sit down with my guitar and start, like, coming up with random stuff, and it's all like it's a big journey. It's a big maze. Like, we don't really know what the record's gonna sound like. So.
Awesome. So, the relief in Misadventures' success. I mean, we're all agreeing here, right? Misadventures, banger album.
Oh, straight up, worth the wait.
Totally worth the wait.
Completely worth the wait. Yeah, like 4 years of just like watching the bands go through the ringer of, like, it's frustrating when things aren't going right, but to be able to come back with that and just go, it's here, fuckers, like, and it's fucking good as well.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a proper relief for all parties.
Definitely, and like we were talking about experiments before with Neck Deep, songs like Floral and Fading or Gold Medal Ribbon, they ramped up that kind of synthy 80s element, but it still sounded so acutely Pierce the Veil that they just came out with these I mean, they're bizarre bangers. That's the only kind of term I can come up with.
Yeah.
Really. You don't know what's going on, really, but like...
But you're loving it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever's happening, it sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Vic living the songs lyrically, like, what do you take from that, Tamsin? Good idea, good move?
I think no matter what they would have written, really, I think that album was going to be good because they spent so much time on it. And like we've said with Neck Deep, they actually talk about a lot of like deep, dark stuff on Misadventures, but it's kind of nicely coated in these bangers and riffs and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's always dangerous for a band taking that time away, like and being that band as well, and knowing that you haven't put out any new music for coming up to 4 years, you kind of sit there and be like, is anyone going to give a fuck about us anymore? And that is terrifying for a band. But they've said before, like if it wasn't for the fans, like Misadventures like may not have happened. It may not have been like the big album that it was, because the fans kept that interest. They were kind of being like, we would really like a new album right now, but we're going to give you some time. We're going to sit here and we're going to wait, and we'll wait patiently. And when you're ready, come to us and we'll just like let loose. And that's exactly what happened. And I mean, props to them. Like it is a huge risk taking that time away, and kind of when you're a bit older as well. I feel like, you know, when you're 18, write about songs about girls and hating your mum's cooking or whatever.
Who's written about hating your mum's cooking?
Madness.
Who hates their mum's cooking?
But you know, like
blasphemy.
They're in their 30s now. They've got families. They've got adult life responsibilities, and they see the world in a new way than you do when you're younger. And that comes across in the album as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go next with from Misadventures.
So exciting. I mean, an interesting comparison, I think, as well. We were talking about Sleeping with Sirens last week, and we were saying Sirens with Gossip, how they're leaving, you know, the warped world behind now, and they're aiming for something new and mature, you know. Whereas with Pierce the Veil, they feel equally mature in what they've done and what they've evolved into, but it still feels that they're still really interested in keeping things rock, you know, and heavy.
Yeah.
You know, a song like Phantom Power and Ludicrous Speed on Misadventures, I mean, that's got a pace to it, man. Like, that's mega. And I don't think, I mean, we chatted about, Mike mentioned that, you know, he grew up on punk bands, you know, and like heavier bands. And I don't think that's something that's ever going to go away from Pierce's music.
Oh, no, I think they're really happy. Like, the amazing thing is that they've built their own boundaries, and they've gone, well, we're going to push it this far, and we're going to be this heavy, and we're going to be this poppy, and then we're going to be this flamenco, and we're going to be this dubsteppy or whatever they want to be. Yeah, they just go, you know, like, now let's break down that barrier, and then just keep going into this next bit and this next bit. So they keep getting heavier and heavier, and like it transcends them into completely different worlds and completely different like standpoints and genres and things, and it spreads out the appeal to different people. It's like you don't know when they could stop. Like they could turn into like fucking agoraphobic nosebleed or something at this point if they wanted to.
Yeah,
they could be that band. Yeah, they're just happy to keep things in their own control.
Yeah,
and as well, like there are some proper heavy moments, like some proper like windmill moments on this album.
Like Vic can play the guitar big time. When he brings that pace, when him and Mike double up on the pace, I'm just like, yes! Like
I think I've got a little crush on Mike's drum fills. Like,
you and me both.
I'm properly like, I've got a like little picture of his of his drumsticks next to my bed that I just like keep there just in case. Like, good night, Mike's drum fills.
I mean, this is almost Waterparks 10 years on, isn't it? In a way, like it's like Waterparks are on their debut and could go anywhere. Pierce the Veil are so far into their career now as an elder band in the rock sound world, but it still feels like they could go anywhere. You know,
they still have so much life in them.
Yeah,
like they're not a band that have kind of been like, oh, we're getting on a bit now, like we'll do one more album and then we'll call it, sort of thing. Like there's still so much more to come from them. Like they could literally be riffing until they're 70.
Oh mate, I'm good with that.
They could do. They will do.
Well,
it's in the same way as like the big bands now, like Metallica, Maiden, like they'll keep going.
Yeah.
When those bands are long gone, it's gonna be Pierce the Veil.
Mate, yes it will.
Like that's what, and it's gonna be all of us like with our blankets on our chairs and our like
thermos of hot chocolate.
little thermos of hot chocolate.
Nice Horlicks.
Yeah, sitting at festivals, like waiting until the end, like people do now.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that sounds really good to me. That sounds like a really nice time.
I'm pretty sure I've seen you do that already now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
I've definitely been
sit down, rockers.
I've definitely been at a festival before with a cup of tea, just being like, I'm having a real nice time.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, they could go on for, you know, I would love to see Pierce become the Metallica of our scene. You know, that would be so cool. And I mean, you know, like you say, the possibilities on new music are endless. You know, I mean, they could go super heavy, like, you know, they could get, you know, maybe like Drew from Stray from the Path on a tune, or they could get Soupy from the Wonder Years on a tune.
Absolutely,
you know, and they could slow things right down, or they could speed them right up. You know, like, they're so in tune with everything as well, you know, like they brought out Let Live and Creeper at the end of last year to the UK, which was such a perfect bill, and especially on stage at Download this year as well. Vic came out with a Let Live back patch and a Chris Cornell Soundgarden t-shirt. I feel they're just such fans of music and they're so in tune with everything, and to have them as, you know, one of the figureheads of our world is just, that's perfect, man. So yeah, big up Pierce the Veil. Can't wait to hear what they're going to come up with next. Tamsin, what have we got next?
What have we got next?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
That's what he is asking. What have we got next?
Well, I spoke to one of my favourite bands not all that long ago, and it was such an exciting chat, not exciting.
It sounded like you said anxiety.
It's all happening.
No, it was a really, really great chat, and I love these guys. It's of course State Champs. I love them. I think everyone knows that I love State Champs.
You do love State
I
Champs.
do love State Champs.
You've mentioned it.
But I had a chat with Derek and Tyler. Kind of, they've been so busy since Around the World and Back came out. Like, they've literally not stopped. They've gone around the world and back again 3 times. Like, and we kind of touched on that, like, and where, you know, new music, guys. Is it coming? They obviously released the deluxe edition, which had Slow Burn and Hurry Up and Wait, both two kind of. You know, Hurry Up and Wait was punch in the face, pop punk anthem, banger, straight up, whereas Slow Burn was like, okay, it's got a little bit of a groove to it, I can do a little hip shake to this, I'm enjoying it. Both written with Alex Gascar from All Time Low, so I spoke to him a bit about that, if there's going to be a bit more of an All Time Low touch on the new album, who else they would like to collaborate with, and just generally what is next for State Champs. Here we go. Derek and Tyler, thank you for joining us for the Rock Sound podcast. You guys have been like crazy busy recently.
We have.
Like, you've just not stopped. Have you like taken any time at all just kind of sit back and like look at everything that you're doing right now and being like,
a little bit. We definitely
fuck.
like whenever we do that, we get kind of scared. So I think it's better to just keep going.
And then you don't have to think about it.
I don't really like looking in the rear view because I don't know, it just like freaks me out.
No regrets. Don't look back. Just keep going.
Yeah.
No, it's nice because we get like at least a week or 2 off in between all these tours that we've been doing. So it's like we get the little bit of time to go home, catch our breath, see family, recharge, and then just enough time to start getting bored. And then we're like, okay, we're ready to get back out there. You know.
Good. And you released the deluxe edition of Around the World back not all that long ago.
Yeah.
How did that kind of all come together? Why did you want to put out the extra songs in the live DVD?
The DVD is something we've been wanting to do for a long time.
I think, did Elliot come to us with it first, or did we think it? I think Elliot wanted to do it, and we just, I mean, we started working with Elliot back in like 2015.
Who was our photographer and videographer.
The guy that made the DVD, Sorry, I shouldn't be so assuming. But yeah, I think it's just, what we always say is like when we, like growing up, these are all things that bands that we loved did, like acoustic records or live DVDs or anything like that.
DVDs. Yeah, and I still have all my old favorite band DVDs.
Same.
Like the Starting Line and Census Fail and Thrice and the Paramore DVDs.
The Final Riot DVD.
I'll still go back and watch those, and it makes me pumped to be in a band now. But back then, it made me want to do what they were doing. So
just want to do shit that they did.
Yeah,
because that was tight as hell, in my opinion.
Yeah. So any chance we can get now to give back to our fans and show them what we do, what it's like to be in a band, and just to show that we're also pretty normal and we're like normal kids too sometimes, just hanging out. But like, it was just a cool thing to do. We spent over a year filming it, and like it is the Around the World and Back DVD. So there's all different chapters from all different continents and countries, Australia and Japan and the UK, Europe and the US and Alaska. We go to Alaska in it. It's really cool. It's just something where you can really see what we get to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Is it cool for like you guys to like watch it and look back and be like, oh my god, look at everything we did?
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's something we'll be able to watch for the rest of our lives. So it's going to be a nice time
something to show the grandkids.
Yeah, it's also really funny to see like how much we've changed in just like a year and a half or whenever, 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
We've all like learned how to dress a little bit better. Some of us have like, either gained weight or lost weight, or it's a really funny comparison from like 2 years ago to now.
Yeah.
It's a good time capsule.
Yeah, it really is. I'm gonna open it up
either
in
like
10
make you
years.
feel really good about yourself or really bad.
Well, we did a big premiere for it at a theater in Los Angeles, and like we sat in the front row, so our faces were ginormous, and you could see every little imperfection, and we were like, oh god,
is that what I look like? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wasn't too thrilled, but it's totally fine.
And you gave us the 2 new songs with it as well. You wrote with Alex from All Time Low for them. How did that come about? Did he approach you? Did you approach him? Was it just like a natural
We went
thing?
to him, didn't we? We asked him.
He definitely approached me years ago and wanted to do some shit, but we never really like got there with it. I think it was finally like the right place, right time for both of us, and it just kind of happened.
Felt like the right
And it was
time.
our first time ever collaborating with someone else that isn't just us in the band writing songs.
Yeah.
That's what we're used to, and that's where we come from. Just like sitting in a room, jamming out, and
Yeah.
writing our songs together. This time we were like, oh, let's get outside of the comfort zone, think outside the box, and try working with other people. And Alex was a great segue into that because he was already our friend, and we obviously think pretty highly of him. And he's an influence of ours as well. So it was cool. He set the tone pretty nice and like just
cool and comfortable.
Yeah, just vibing and
Good
trying
mix of
something
both.
new, but also being comfortable with it. And we came out with 2 pretty cool songs. So.
Yeah, and like the 2 songs are they're quite different in sound. Like Slow Burn's a little bit more of a slower jam.
Yeah.
But then the other one is like really fast paced, loads of energy, a little bit edgy.
That one just like blasts out of nowhere.
Yeah, like straight in the face.
Yeah.
So was that kind of like a look into where you're going with new music?
Maybe
a
a
new
little bit.
album?
Yeah, I feel like that's like always who we've been though. Like we have like a duality about us. We're not just like the same song 10 times on a record. So I think that's definitely what you could expect. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the dynamic of the 2. How it's like it shows a little bit of everything. It's still Champs, but it's a little bit of a segue into what we're writing now and the demos that we have right now. We're doing a lot of writing for the new record already.
Mm-hmm.
Still got a ways to go with it, but after this tour is when we really start to dive into the new writing process.
Is Alex going to be involved with any of that process?
I think we'll bring him back in for a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to write some songs, go back to the roots, what we're used to,
Yeah.
writing songs by ourselves.
Yeah.
And then and combine those with the collaborations and pick the best ones for the record. Yeah.
So he did good. Was it like
He
a
did
test
good.
for the last?
I told him, I was like, you're pretty good.
You can be part of the band now. It's fine.
Yeah, just join us.
Just leave yours. It's okay. They don't need you.
And like you've obviously done that huge tour recently with Broco and with Con and stuff. Do you think maybe any collaborations there could happen?
Yeah, I want to do a song with Don Broco. I want Don Broco on the new
We are
record.
huge Don Broco fans now.
Yeah.
We had no idea before, but we are sold.
They're one of the coolest bands, and it was great to have them out on the tour.
Yeah.
Like, they know how to have a really good time, and we would watch them every day.
Really good performers.
There's
like
rarely a
entertainers.
band that we'll watch every day on tour, and Don Broco was one of those. So it was really cool.
I think a State Champs and Don Broco collaboration would be killer.
It'd be so sick,
It
right?
would be so sick.
See if
I
we
saw like the video of you guys in the Wall of Death.
Yeah.
Like, was that on the last night of tour or something?
Yeah,
like,
well, the last like 3 nights of the tour, they would do the Wall of Death, and they were like,
For
"We
the
need
song
help."
Pretty.
They're like, "We want you guys to go out there and like Derek take one side, Ryan take the other, and just like charge at each other." We're like, "All right, we're down." So we just got right in there. We crowd surf into the middle and then open it up. And
That's
have at
insane.
It. Yeah, it was wild. Luckily, no broken bones.
I was gonna say, any injuries? Did you lose your glasses?
No, and I went in with my glasses too. I
That's
forgot
dangerous.
Yeah, that was dangerous. Came out alive. We're okay.
Good, good. And like, are there any other than the Wall of Death? Are there any other like highlights from that tour? Like, it was a pretty long tour. You went home, did some hometown shows.
That was really cool. I
Yeah.
think that's something that I think is really special, at least.
Yeah, we got to.
First time anyone ever had like welcome home signs in the crowd.
That was really cute.
I was truly like, I was like,
Did you do a little
I was
cry?
like, I might have a cry back here. Like I'm turning around playing the song like.
Yeah, and to play
So many feelings right
to
now.
play in our hometown, to the biggest venue in our hometown, and sell it out to our friends and our family.
Yeah,
and
like
the
we used to
overwhelming
go see
support.
like A Day to Remember and Bring Me the Horizon and like Chiodos and shit.
Yeah.
So we're like, we did it!
Yeah,
It was very cool. It was
We made it.
accomplishing. It was like a big sense of pride for us.
yeah, we were very proud.
That's really awesome. And like, from now then, is it just album are you concentrating on?
After this tour, pretty much. Yeah, it's time to get in the studio and really.
Doing Riot Fest in September, but mostly just
It's gonna
studio.
be sick.
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
gonna
have a
be
little
fucking
run
awesome.
around that and do like a few other shows, but mainly it's time to get to work, see what the next chapter goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, wicked chat with Tams and the state champs. I'm going to put this out there to you guys. I think they need to make the Peace and the Panic.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think they're going to.
But they are going to.
That's the thing. It's not a case of need. It's a case of have, and it's bubbling under, and it's gonna like.
I think they're kind of like, what I really liked about in the chat is they know they're stepping it up with whatever comes next. They, you know, teaming up with Alex is their first time co-writing with anyone else really. They're still like, we want to be that band that's in their bedrooms like jamming some things before then kind of being like, you know, how does this sound, Alex? Is this good enough, Alex? And I think it's really nice to see them being like, we are still that little pop punk band from our hometown, but I feel like they know that this is going to be big. Like, and if there's a Don Broco collaboration on that album, I am going to lose my shit.
Get Rob Damiani on this album. Whatever you do,
That
guys.
will be the biggest party banger to ever exist. Ever.
Make it happen. Like, if that happens, 2018 is won. There, done and dusted.
I've heard a rumour that Rob Damiani is quite fun, really, so it could work out.
Like, and can you imagine them performing that live? If it
Oh
happens.
my god.
There's high kicks all over the
Oh
show.
my god.
So many high kicks. Like, you'll literally just see me. I'll probably be like crying, but fist pumping, high kicking, all at the same time.
That's like, you'd fall over. You'd be like Charlie Brown on Snoopy when he gets hit by a baseball and spins around.
That's gonna be me. If a Broco and State Champs collab happens, like, I'm just
Spinning
constantly.
Mate, state champs, Rob Damiani. If you guys are listening to this, please make this happen. You will make 3 people, and I'm sure thousands of others, very, very, very happy.
I think my biggest thing from this chat was they're still unsure about why they're in the position they are. Like, then they're still like, oh, well, people quite like us, don't they?
Yeah.
And it just sounds so surprised and just so casual about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really nice to hear, like, people be humble and be like, so pleased that people are still giving a shit. And because all they're doing, they're just making music that they want to. Like, Around the World and Back, it was at times bridging on an NSYNC album.
That's
like,
it, yeah.
Which is what they want to be. Like, after The Finer Things, which was one of the finest pop punk albums of the decade, and then they just go, well, actually, we're going to slow down, we're going to be more pop. And it's like, just doing what they want and being surprised by the response. It's really nice to see that level of, like, feeling going towards it. And they're, like, giving a shit about, like, it's like, oh, we've got fans. This is nice, isn't it?
No, definitely.
It's working out.
Totally, and that's the thing, and it's a bit of a running theme across these 2 episodes so far, but it could go anywhere. Again, it's like you say, you know, The Finer Things was brilliant pop punk. Around the World and Back had a real pop to it, you know. They must have been jamming the absolute shit out of Taylor Swift's 1989 when they were making that album.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, so I spoke to them like just before Around the World and Back came out, and I even said to them, I was like, how much Taylor Swift were you listening to when you were recording this? And they were like, you have no idea.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, like, when I spoke to them, I said, like, why should people go and pick this up? Like, The Finer Things was, like, great. You smashed that. Why should people check out this new album? And they kind of jokingly, but also I think quite a bit seriously were like, because it's going to blow your fucking mind. Like, and that they knew then that this was the album that was going to just push them into the stratosphere, which it has done. Like, if they were capable of taking that album into space, I think they would have done it by now, because they've literally touched, like, all corners of the earth with it, and they're still touring it now. Like, they've just announced another US tour.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, stop.
Get in the studio.
Get in the studio, make it happen. But and I just feel like this next album, like, I'm not ready for it, but I'm so ready for it at the same time.
No.
Like, I feel like what you feel with Neck Deep's album, that's what it's going to be for State Champs and for me.
When you first hear it, it'll be like the reverse. It'll be you doing all sorts of
You'll be there
expressions.
filming me as I'm bawling my eyes out with joy.
That's how I feel about when Taylor Swift's going to come out. So.
Oh man, yeah, that's it.
He says sitting here in a Taylor Swift t-shirt.
Yeah.
You could say I'm a fan.
Yeah, big up Taylor Swift. I mean, on that tangent as well, they're good friends with Halsey.
Yeah. Who aren't they friends with?
Well, that's it. So the door is open for, like we're saying with Rob Damiani, you know, and all this pop influence.
Yep.
They could get someone like Halsey on this album. How sick would that be?
I would love that. I mean, they're friends with Taka from 1OK Rock as well.
Yeah.
Get him in on there. Like, literally, they are the friendliest band, and the amount, I feel like they could just send like a group text around to be like, does anyone feel they want to come in on the album? We've got like a space for a couple guest vocals if anyone's up for it. And I feel like everyone would just be like, yes.
I mean, to have Halsey in that position, it's like, yeah, man, I'll pop over. Like, stick cat
when do you
on.
want me?
Right, it's just like world superstar Halsey. Just like, yeah, I'll sing a little bit for you. Don't worry about it, Derek from State Champs.
Yeah, how sick would that be? And I mean, you know, we talked about Tonight Alive last week as well with the rap section that Jen has laid down for that. You know, I mean, I think even as well that could extend here. You know, I mean, can you imagine like a Childish Gambino on this album? You know, like
the thing, like Derek and Tyler, like they're all huge like hip hop fans as well.
Yeah, they love Drake, right? Yeah.
Like the possibilities are endless with the new State Champs album. They really are.
Sky is limit.
That's it. And, you know, to finish off, they might even do, you know, we've chatted about this outside the studio, some sort of pop punk live aid, you know, like a Wonder Years, all my friends are in bar bands, you know, just a chorus of pop punk frontmen and frontwomen, you know, like...
imagine that?
The Defend Pop Punk. Like it's actually coming back stronger with a charity single.
How good would it be like Feldman conducting and like how good would it be?
Yes,
like,
right? Feldman would be the guy, like he brings it, he will again literally just send like a group, start up like a group WhatsApp, to be like Pop Punk Live Aid is happening, who wants in?
Yeah.
And you'll get Blink, you'll get Five Sauce, you'll get State Champs, you'll get literally fucking everyone.
Yeah, that's it. And
everyone's minds will just go.
It's very true. And I hope we hear all of this stuff on the State Champs album. Make it happen, guys.
Yeah, I mean, either that or just do Pop Punk Live Aid. Like we're planting the seeds. Just do it.
Yeah.
And when it happens, make sure they give us some credit for the idea.
Of course, yeah. Of course. The State Champs album is going to be one of the biggest rock sound releases next year. So plenty more on that very, very soon in the coming weeks. Cool. So to finish off our episode today, I spoke to Aaron Pawley from Of Mice and Men. And now this is very different to what we've been talking about before. Of Mice and Men have been through a very, very difficult time as of late. Austin Carlisle, frontman, had to very sadly leave the band due to health issues. And Aaron has stepped up as the sole frontman. They stayed a four-piece. And now Aaron takes both screaming and melodic vocals while still playing bass. So they're reborn, basically. So they released 2 new songs earlier this year, Unbreakable and Back to Me, which showcased, I think, a sound that nods backwards, but also a sound that very much nods forward as well. And I brought all this to Aaron to kind of go inside of that and kind of get to grips with how hard it's been, A, and B, how they've really bounced back from that and the process of essentially going through a rebirth and coming out stronger than ever. So it was a really fascinating chat, and he was a top guy. So here's my chat with Aaron from Of Mice and Men. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on. I guess we'll go with the new songs first. Like, so Unbreakable and Back to Me, like, is that a symbol of like the band being closer and sort of sturdier than ever, really?
It is, and it's because I think in whether it's tragedy or if it's just general life change, I think that it softens the blow when you can live through that with people. And for us, like we're all neighbors. We all see each other all the time, you know, like and I've heard it's rare the more I talk about it, but we are a band that generally love each other and hang out with each other all the time. Yeah. And I think to be able to kind of commiserate through experiences and at the same time create something that in a way helps us figure out navigate blah blah blah. I'm a terrible interviewee.
Mate, no worries.
No, but you know, it helps us. It helps us navigate through that, and I think to be able to do that with my brothers, it's always been the dream, and you know, to have people just be so supportive of it is it almost brings you to tears, honestly. So we were facing the possibility of maybe we weren't going to play another show, and maybe all the songs that we created together again wouldn't see a stage again. And I think, you know, for us to have done that and now to kind of feel a sense of validation like that was the right thing to do. It's just been awesome.
Amazing, man. And like the songs themselves, like lyrically especially, I mean, is it as literal as it sounds, like Unbreakable, I mean, that sort of thing? Is it kind of a very positive way of going forward?
It's, you know, I think for as much as it's for our fans, because, you know, we always write music for the people that listen to it, but we always selfishly write music for ourselves too. And I think for me, I tend to usually write things that I want to hear or that I want to believe fully deep down in my heart. And I think that the songs, in a way, especially lyrically, is always a way that I can kind of maybe even trick myself into fully believing that, you know, because it's scary. I think we face, you know, like I said, the precipice of, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe the road has come to an end and this is awesome, and I'll go home and I'll find a day job, I'll find something to do, and that'll be that. But I think, you know, to take that leap of faith, we did, and our fans caught us, and it's awesome. And people like you have caught us, and it's awesome because the support that you guys show us means just as much as the fans.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, like, that's the thing. I mean, at Roxanne, we are like huge supporters of Mice and Men, and like, you know, it's great to see you guys really pushing on and kind of coming out with these awesome tunes. Like,
thanks, man.
I guess to go from that, like, in terms of sort of in the new lineup, is it stepping up as the sort of sole frontman of the band? Has it been a hard job?
It's not been hard in the sense of the physicalities of it. Sometimes it's hard because, you know, I will think about before I did that and playing the songs, and sometimes I look to my left and he's not there. And sometimes that's kind of difficult. But you know what? It feels more similar than it does different. And I don't know if that's weird, and maybe that's not what like people would expect or want to hear, but like so much of the spirit of why we always did this is still there. And it is a different lineup and it is a different experience, but the fuel behind that, the energy and the essence of that is so much the same that some days it feels like this is the way it's been. Because in a lot of ways it hasn't changed. We still do this all for the same reasons, you know? Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, like, in that respect, does it feel kind of natural in a way? And the fact, I mean, I know obviously you sort of, you know, you took the sort of the main vocals in Jamie's Elsewhere, and like, I guess, is it kind of, it feels, as I say, it feels kind of natural, and you've kind of sort of almost grown to your own skin very quickly.
It definitely is feeling more natural now, yeah. It's less me thinking about what I'm doing and more me just kind of experiencing all of us playing the songs. Yeah, man, that's such a good question. You're asking great questions, by the way.
Thank you so much, man.
But it's been awesome. It is definitely a change. Some days it's difficult. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm choking on my hair or, you know, catching my breath. And you know what is difficult is that I don't headbang as much anymore because there's a microphone there, and that's one thing I do kind of miss. Was I used to go pretty hard in the headbang paint, and now I headbang maybe once or twice during the set because I'm stuck in front of a microphone. But being stuck in front of a microphone also means I get to see the crowd more. Yeah. So I get to interact and I get to kind of look out and share more moments with people than maybe just myself and my bass and my hair. So it's been awesome. It's been a growing experience, but I've never been one to resent growth or change. I kind of embrace it, and I in a way get off on it. I like the idea of not staying the same and changing, and so it's been a change, but it's been a positive one.
Definitely, like, that's awesome. And I guess as well in terms of like, because obviously for a while in Mice and Men you were taking the melodic vocals, and like, so taking the screaming vocals as well now, like, how's that been vocally?
It's been awesome. I had a lot of training in the past. When I was in college, for the brief time that I was in college, stay in school, by the way. No, the brief time I was in college, for my electives, I took Italian opera for like a year and a half, and that's where I really learned how to use my voice and also how to just vocalize, so like I can talk for hours and not go hoarse and stuff like that. Like, because ultimately it's kind of like, you know, if you're working out, you have you know, a coach or a trainer, and they teach you how to do, you know, the curls without blowing your arm out. And so very much the same way people can do the same for your voice. So it's been it's been awesome. And you know, and I find that the more we play and the longer our sets go, the more my voice there's more longevity to it. Before, when I was doing, I would do, you know, like maybe half the vocals, but there was a lot of time where I would be belting, and then I would stop, and I would be belting again, and when you stop, that's when things can start to swell and when blood can kind of like get in there, and so if you're just consistently using it for like an hour, it lasts longer, I feel like. Maybe I sound bad now, I don't know. I can't tell. No, it was something I did for a long time in my previous band, and something I do now, and I would not recommend it for people who don't have that training, because it is really easy to damage your voice. And if you're planning on living a long life, which I hope everyone who listens to this is, you're going to want to have a voice.
I guess, I mean, it's kind of obvious to say, but like, does this really feel like almost a new era, almost a rebirth for Mice and Men?
It does. It feels like a new chapter in a very long book that we've all written together. And you know what? It was really important for us moving on without Austin. You know, like we were never going to replace him, because I can't think of like, who are you? Like, he was such a great front man. Like, you're not going to replace him. And then secondly, even on the family side of it, that's our brother. Like, we're not going to replace him. And so for us to be able to still do these songs, you know, Alan's also hugely stepped up to do background screaming stuff too, which is awesome. Shout out Alan if you're listening, which I know you're not, because you're with me. Wait, did I just, I think I just said that I'm not listening to this, but I will be listening to this. You better believe it. I'm going to be live tweeting.
Shout out Alan and Aaron.
but you know, it's been awesome. So for everybody to kind of step up to ensure that we can deliver these songs to the fans is important, because for us, like, that's all it was ever about. It was never about the band name or about the business or about the brand. It was always about the music and the songs. And for us to still be able to do all of this and to be embraced by people like Rock Sound, like yourself, by the fans, and you know what, by other bands in the community too. It's really been awesome and humbling, and we could not be happier. And I hope it shows. I hope you can see it. You can see me right now. The people can't, but you can see me. We're just happy to be here, man. It definitely shows.
Aaron is beaming right now, like, beaming. Awesome. And I guess as well, like, and talking of that, like, Austin, as a fan of the band, Austin seemed very proud of you guys, sort of post his departure from the band. Is that something that you've really found has kind of spurred you on?
You know what? We've always done this for ourselves, for our fans, and literally for rock and roll. Like, I think rock and roll exists as this entity somewhere that we can all feel but maybe can't see, you know, like a religion, if you will, without all the bullshit. Can I say bullshit? It's a podcast,
you can
right?
You can swear.
Shit. But you know what? Like, we've always just, we love rock music, and we love rock and roll, we love the community, we love the fans, we love the people, and all of that, you know, and if people can feel what we're feeling and latch onto that and validate that by saying, like, I like this, like, I can tell the genuineness of it, then we feel like we've done our jobs, and that's like the biggest reward we can have.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I guess in that respect, like, in terms of the new music, like, I know you guys are writing and continuing to write. Are we expecting more new music?
Oh, always expect new music, but also always expect the unexpected, because, you know, we went from being a band that was very goal-oriented, and we still are, but also very schedule-oriented. So we would set a goal, we would make a 2-year schedule to get to that goal, and then we literally, like, if you think about a roller coaster, we would lock to that track and just go. But the problem is the roller coaster was over, we'd get to wherever our goal was, like, you know, if it was, we want to release Restoring Force, and then in a year and a half we want to end up in Brixton, you know, we did that, and it was awesome. But I remember being at Brixton thinking, we're here now. And then the last 2 years was a blur, you know, because we're just so focused. And that wasn't a bad thing, but we are very now conscious of the fact that time is precious. You never know if it's going to be your last show. So enjoy it, you know, and enjoy the press, enjoy everything about this, because it's finite.
Definitely.
Which Finite is a dope-ass song by Volumes on their album that they just dropped called Different Animals. So check it out, because I'm serious, that's a banger.
Is Unbreakable a good indicator of what's to come, or are you saying expect the unexpected? So
expect the unexpected, but expect a very energetic, invigorated album someday when we put it out, because I'm not even going to give off the slightest hint of when we're dropping a new album, which we will drop a new album, or a new song or songs. But I will say too that we have been writing arguably some of the heaviest material that we've written, and we absolutely love metal. And I think just doing these festivals and getting on stage and screaming my head off and being up there with my dudes making loud noise, like we're gonna start working on new music, you know, coming off of these festivals. And so I know a lot of the energy and heart that the UK and Europe's got in their rock and metal scene is going to bleed into our album so heavily.
Man, I'm so excited.
And then we're gonna come back next year and do this all again. Yeah, but higher up, and maybe with some fire or lasers. We've never used it. We've never used it ever, and I'm terrified that I would like forget the cue and just roast myself.
James Hetfield.
Yeah, make a little AP s'more. Not good.
Awesome. So that was my chat with Aaron Pauly. So yeah, we'll kick off with the new songs. Unbreakable, Back to Me. Firstly, they're great, right? So they look forward and look back, as I say. A bit like with Sirens, is this a changing of worlds for Mice and Men? Tamsin?
I don't think so. In the sense that, you know, where Sirens are going with what they're doing. Like I said, it's a rebirth for Mice and Men. What they've been through, it was really, really tough for them, and they were kind of put in a situation where they can go, do we just leave this, start a new project or something, go off and do our own things, do our own solo project, or do we keep fighting, keep writing music and just kind of working it out? And that's exactly what they've done, and I think that's one of the biggest things to come out of this is they had the opportunity to be like, fuck it, I'm done. But they've stayed true to themselves, and they've said, like, we thought about getting another vocalist, but we couldn't stand on stage looking at someone else that wasn't Austin. Like, it just wouldn't work. And like, obviously the new songs that they've put out, like, everyone loved them. They were really, really good, and it's the same sort of thing. Like, they could have put those out and everyone could have gone a bit like, well, it's not the same without Austin, is it? But instead everyone was just like, holy shit, like, having Austin was great. Like, he was a great member of the band, but like, they've stepped up massively, like, coming out of like a really, really crappy situation. They've stepped up and just been like, yeah, like, throw what you can at us, like, we will only do better.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like, fair play to them, because I think now that putting that new music out there was really important for them, because I feel like that it was like a confidence boost. And it's got them to be like, okay, we can do this, we can totally do this, and now they're just going to go on and smash it.
Definitely, like, it's such a brave move. And I mean, you look at a band like, say, Avenged Sevenfold, you know, in our world, in that they cut their teeth on Warped Tour for a long time, and then they became this huge arena metal success story. You know, we could be seeing a similar thing from Mice and Men. I mean, yeah. Jack, how are you feeling on it?
Well, I think Aaron sounds buzzed. Like, he sounds so pumped for what's going on with the band, and just so positive for the future. And said out of something which could have completely broken them. Like, it was so for the amount of time which, like, Austin was struggling just to go through to make that decision, they could have, like, gone, well, whatever. But for him to be so pumped about everything and about these new songs and about the future, like, it is interesting you're saying about Avenged, because, like, they've completely transcended everything, and they don't play anything smaller than a massive stage now with huge production. And you see Mice in the past, like, they've supported Linkin Park, like, they're with the big guns. They're doing Five Finger Death Punch, like, in whenever it is.
December, I think.
December. I'm glad you know. I'm glad you should work in the music business. And all these huge stages, and like they've been working it up, and like the style that they're on now is what can smash arenas. Like, they've done that process. They've gone through like the breakdown phase into like the like kind of new metal phase, and now they're just writing huge fucking rock songs which can like take on anything. Like it's perfect the radio, perfect for the pit, perfect for whatever. And just to like from the brink of collapse to come back and swing, like not just come back swinging, but come back with a fucking jackhammer and completely smash everything that's in front of him. Like it's huge. Like it's another case, we keep saying it, but like it's a point that anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like now, like the next few months could like who knows? Like,
yeah, it's
honestly
mega.
who fucking knows.
The thing is as well, like when they played Download Festival, I had friends there that like kind of just watched them. Like they didn't really know much about the bands. They kind of knew a few songs. They knew that Austin had left, and they kind of been going through this sort of situation, and they were like, you know, sending messages to our group chats and stuff, and just being like, fair fucking play to Aaron, like who's doing both vocals. They were like, he is absolutely smashing this. Like you wouldn't even like if you didn't know what has happened with the band, you would just think that he's just like he is the front man, like, and has been for years. Like he's massively stepped up into the role, and you know the other guys have stepped up to help out with backing vocals and things. And I feel like they've all just been like, we got this.
Well, yeah, think how Aaron, he came in to replace Shaylee.
That's
like,
it, yeah.
Like he's gone from being, and as well like his time in Jamie's Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like he was the biggest voice of that, a band who was severely underrated in this world and not got enough plaudits as they should. But he's come in like to replace someone with that, and then he's just taken the step up. He's like, it's almost like a promotion.
Exactly. I mean, replacing Shaylee, that was a huge job in itself.
Big
and the fact that he's had to do it basically twice now, and that he's had another equally huge job in having to not replace, but kind of take on Austin's side of the band as well. And Austin was such a talismanic, huge presence in that band, you know. So, and Shaylee was this amazing voice that he's taken both, and he's just smashing it. Like, I mean, I saw the download set, and he just, like, vocally, he sounded perfect. And like I said about presence, he had such a presence, you know, like you say, Tamsin, like, you would never have necessarily known that he would only been doing this for a few months, you know. So what could come now, like you say, Jack, is just, it's insane. Like, I mean, he was saying about they're writing some of the gnarliest shit they've ever written. And I mean, that's not necessarily what I expected, and that's so exciting.
No, to be doing that, like, when you look back over, like, the back catalogue of what Mice have, like, I think of tracks like OG Loco, and like just the pure force that was like on an album, like
a baseball bat.
Oh yeah. Oh mate, I go off every time. Like pure fucking stuff.
But bangers.
And then the things which they were able to do on Restoring Force, it's interesting that from there, like they're saying that they're going heavier.
Yeah.
Like bloody hell, like to be able to do that when you've already got this in like your catalogue, like. It's quite daunting for a listener, not for a band. Like, I'm worried about my tinnitus is going to get even worse. But like, yeah, to be able to say that, it's exciting. It's really exciting. From the brink of the unknown to like flying into the sun.
That's
like,
it. Yeah, I mean, and you know, you talk about the legacy that the band have got behind them. You know, when we talk about classics in our scene, you know, there's The Flood, which I'd say, you know, we mentioned OG Loco and songs like Still YDGN, songs like that, like they're absolute classics, I think, and to many of you out there as well. So to be able to, you know, have that as your kind of support system, I guess, and then take from that and create something that could be as good is just, man, like what the band could come back with is just, again, it's just this world of possibility. And the fact they've done it when they were facing defeat, to be honest, is extremely impressive, and I just want them to come back and just nail it, you know?
Yeah, big style.
And do we reckon they do it?
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, nothing in my head can say that they're going to do anything other than completely nail whatever they put forward. And it's exciting to think what they're going to come back with when they come back with Five Finger, and what sort of stage show they've got, and what songs they've got to play with, and the set which they can put forward. And then that's a whole other world, like, a world of fans there who go, who's this lot?
Yeah.
And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Crossover potential again.
Yeah. So, shout out Mice, shout out Aaron Pauley, shout out riffs.
Yeah, always shout out riffs, shout out breakdowns. Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So yeah, huge shout out to those guys. Cool. So that's our launch specials finished. It's been quite the time, right, guys?
Oh, it's been sick.
We packed so much into it.
Yeah, I feel like my voice is like gonna fall out. You know, like.
No, I mean, like, I've been through 2 cups of tea, like, kept it lubricated. I could talk for another hour. Like, I could talk
just
all
keep
night.
going. Should we just keep going forever?
Whoa, slow down. Like, go forever.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I say, let us know what you think. Let us know what you enjoyed. Let us know your favourite chats, and then of course, let us know what bands you want us to speak to and the things you want us to speak to them about, because we can definitely make that happen.
You say definitely. We will definitely try to make it happen.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't promise.
If you come back and say like the Spice Girls or something, probably going to be a bit tricky, but we'll see what we can do.
But I mean, like, if someone did say the Spice Girls, we're not going to go...
Get Sporty Spice in.
Oh, man, yeah.
Get Posh on the phone and see what's going to happen. Like, but we'll look at it and go, well, it's not like we're going to go, like, track down the PR and go, let's talk about that new grindcore release, which they've been planning for 20 years.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Like what we've got coming up is just, it's so exciting, and I'm really stoked to just talk with you guys and for you guys all to hear what we've got coming up as well.
Likewise. So let us know your thoughts at podcast@rocksound.tv, and also our Twitter handle is @rocksound, or one word. Let us know everything, and just treat us nicely and be reasonable, like Tamsin and Jack are saying. Spice Girls, I mentioned the Spice Girls, I love the Spice Girls, but
Say, tell us what we should do better, tell us what we should do less, tell us if we should talk more, tell us what collabs you want, tell us who you want us to talk to, tell us your favourite songs, just talk to us, like, we're here for you. Hey?
You're as much a part of this as we are, so yeah, it'd be great to have you all on board.
100%, we want to know exactly what you're digging in the music world. Guys, it's been emotional. It's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Get in.